So you can take a comfortable upright seat. And as you like, rest your hands, maybe one on the heart, one on the belly, or both hands in your lap, whatever is really comfortable for you. And then you're welcome to close your eyes if you like. And as we join together for practice today, you may have floating in your awareness all the news of the world events and of our political and cultural events. And it's actually helpful as a yogi to have a porous relationship with that stuff, but you also have to pace yourself so your reservoir cannot be tapped out and then porously experience information coming in and respond from the best values of your heart. When your reservoir is more filled, when you're not tapped, then it's easier to live in your heart's values. And our sense of porousness with life is also easier to celebrate. So listen for where you are in the sense of your inner reservoir right now. And knowing what your internal values are for kindness or generosity or equity or service, reciprocity, whatever your values are, knowing those as your heart values, just sense what kind of access you have to those values right now, which may be one of the indicators as to when your reservoir is getting lower, like the indicator on the car that tells you the gas tank is getting lower. When we have greater access to those values, we probably have a little bit more fullness in the reservoir of our vitality. And when we have less access to those values, we may be in a time where our reservoir is kind of low, a little bit tapped. And we have this inner yogic duty to ask ourselves, well, how does my reservoir get refilled? And what am I doing that taps that reservoir, that drains it some? Maybe discover something in today's practice that helps us to do this wisely and well. You can join your hands together at your heart. And today we'll chant Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Sat Chidananda Mortaye Nish Prapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. It means we honor the inner teacher, Om Namah Shivaya Gurave, the inner teacher, which is comprised of Sat Chit Ananda, truth, wisdom, and bliss. May this practice help us to dispel the darkness and to return to peace, Shanti. And may we sense that which is unconditionally present to us always, Niralambaya Tejase. And let's begin. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase. Om Namah Shivaya Gurave Satchidananda Murtaye Nishprapanchaya Shantaya Niralambaya Tejase Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Pyo Namaha Hari Om. You may bow your head to your heart. As you release your hands, go ahead and keep your attention and your gaze inward. We are going to do some pranayama, so it might be helpful to blow your nose. I was out walking before class, so I did just blow my nose. So in the pranayama that we'll do, because it's midday, we have a 1 hour practice, and you're a little bit more alert than you are at 7 a.m. We're going to go directly to Kapalabhati. And we'll do the inhale with suspension. A reminder that for that suspension, you do lift the heart. Think of lifting the values of your heart, the qualities of your heart. And you do tip the chin down and in. You can imagine gazing inward towards those heart qualities. Then we release that bandha before we exhale. Okay, so let's begin. Exhale. Then inhale smoothly, fill up the heart, lower, middle, and then upper. Suspend. Release the suspension and exhale slowly and completely. At the end of the exhale, relax the belly as much as you can. You'll notice that the next in-breath just kind of blossoms into the body. We're going to repeat that, and we'll go twice as long. Let's begin. Exhale. Inhale to suspension, where you lift up into the heart and you sense those heart qualities. Exhale. Deeply relax the belly. We're going to repeat this, and we'll use Nadi Shodhana for these suspensions. Just one moment, please. So when we do, we'll do about 50 to 60 rapid exhales. Inhale, suspend using both nostrils, then we'll go to Nadi Shodhana with the suspensions. Let's begin. exhale all the way to the end of the exhale. Then inhale slowly up to your suspension. Close the right, exhale left. Inhale left. Suspend. Close the left, exhale right. Inhale right. Suspend. Close the right and exhale left. Deeply relax. Now place your attention at the upper back part of the throat. So it's the uppermost part of the throat near to where the sinuses and the throat meet. And we're going to place attention there to sense the movement of the breath using Ujjayi. So place the tip of your tongue behind the top two teeth, hollow the back of the throat, and then using a subtle Ujjayi inhale, feel the sensations at the upper back part of the throat. A gentle inhale suspension, and then exhale using Ujjayi, and you'll sense the air passing through the throat, but it touches the front of the sinus cavity there. So you'll sense it on the back, and then it will be in the front of that same cavity during the exhale. Please try that about 5 breath cycles. Do your best to make the inhale and the exhale relatively even. Respect both your inhale pause and your exhale pause. You'll get to the end of the place where you're either inhaling or exhaling, but it's as if without air still moving, you still have the feeling, the musculoskeletal feeling of the inhale or the exhale. These are brief pauses, so we're not using suspensions in a formal way. At the end of your next exhale, and deeply relax the belly and also your mind, and try to sense if you have any greater access to or connection with your deepest heart values. We'll take this, hopefully this sort of meditative mind state that you have, we're going to take this into physical asana practice, a standing asana practice. We'll start with a demonstration of Aikido from the kittens. So let's step back into the beginning of Surya Namaskar, please. Hello, you made my mat crooked. Can I have that? Yeah. So I'm going to ask you to use blocks this morning, which I have been doing since COVID-19 for a number of different reasons, but for this morning, it's because I want that deep tone in your lower belly when you come into Uttanasana. So rising up to stand, join your palms together, and let's bring that Ujjayi breath with us, the one you were just using. That means that your Surya Namaskar is going to be a little slower, a little bit more thoughtful, because I don't want you to lose track of the sensation in the back of the throat. Including the Ujjayi breath in this way is like creating a practice that is higher octane. So I'll say it that way. Do one more Ujjayi breath, please. And don't forget to exhale thoughtfully. I'm trying to get this where I won't cut my head off when you're looking at the camera. Sorry, it's moving about there. It's a little bit flimsy. Okay, now with the Ujjayi sound, let's take the hands down, palms out, reach up, and try to sense the top of the inhale coming as your arms reach the high point of the movement. And exhale, chair pose, Utkatasana. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. As you exhale, bow forward and notice the sensation of the air passing through the throat, touching the front part of the sinuses. Then inhale, glide forward. And exhale again, bow deeply towards your legs, noticing the tone in the abdomen that you can create by pressing into the blocks. Energize your legs. Inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. Noticing the air passing through the throat on the front side of your sinuses. Let's add to that now. Inhale, upward hands pose. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Uttanasana. Keep your inner arches lifted, inner thighs toned. Tone the deep low belly and feel the breath in the sinuses there. Inhale, glide forward. Exhale, left toes back. This is the base of your crescent lunge. Inhale to rise and try to sense the breath coming into the higher part of the torso as your arms get higher. So the arms and the breath are paced together. Let's exhale, just take the arms wide, and you can pace that also with the breath. Turn your palms face out. Inhale to climb back up with the arms, the breath. Again, exhale, arms wide. Yeah, very good. One more time, please. Inhale to rise up. And exhale, reach wide and forward. As you touch the blocks, inhale, step forward, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, deeply bow towards the legs and notice the tone you can create in the lower abdomen as you press your hands into the blocks. And inhale, glide forward through your heart. Okay, exhale, right toes back. This is the base of your crescent lunge. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, arms wide. So the breath is the orchestra conductor. That means that your arms are moving at the pace that the breath is determining. The breath rises up, arms are following that pace. Exhale, arms wide. Keeping the Ujjayi sound consistent. We'll go up one more time. Inhale, rising. Good, and then exhale as you descend, press into your right toes, your left heel, your left toes, and then both hands, and step backwards to plank pose. And listen for the Ujjayi breath even in your plank pose. We often find it more difficult in poses that require exertion or more abdominal tone. So this is good practice. Ujjayi inhale, please. And then with the Ujjayi exhale, lightly touch your knees down to table pose. And then inhale to cow pose. Bring your chest and heart forward. And exhale, glide your hips forward so it becomes seal pose, right? From cow pose, you already had the heart in a back bend. Now we're in seal pose. Press your hands and arms down. And if possible, inhale to also raise your chin up. And then exhale, tone your belly, gaze down and rise up to plank pose. Inhale, reach backwards, downward facing dog pose. And exhale, right foot forward. Inhale, glide up. Okay, exhale, glide down. Strengthen your left leg and toes. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, table pose. Touch the knees lightly down. Inhale to cow pose. Lift your heart. Exhale to seal pose. Bring your hips forward, slide your shoulders back. Inhale, gaze up. Exhale, tone your belly and your throat, gaze down, plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog pose. And then exhale, step your left foot forward between your hands. Inhale, rise up, crescent lunge. And exhale, glide the arms wide, come down. Touch the blocks this time lightly and inhale, step forward, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale for a deep bow to the legs. Press into the two blocks and tone your lower belly. Inhale, rise up. Hands to the heart. Keeping the Ujjayi with you. Repeating that. Inhale, glide up. Chair pose. Inhale, rise up. Listen for the breath in the back hollow of the throat. Exhale, Uttanasana. Notice the breath passing through the sinus cavity and the throat. Inhale, glide forward. Okay, left toes back, and this time touch your right knee down, left knee down, excuse me. So it's Asana. Inhale, glide up. Turn your palms up. Yes, beautiful. Exhale, glide forward and strengthen your left toes and your left inner thigh. Inhale, lift your left leg to plank pose. Exhale to table pose. Inhale to cow pose. So bring the heart forward, lift your collarbones. And then seal pose as you exhale. Good. All right, let's inhale. Raise your chest and heart, open your throat, look up. And exhale, tone your belly, then your throat, gaze down, plank pose. Inhale, downward facing dog. And exhale, left foot forward, touch your right knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, descend. Inhale, step forward, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale to bow deeply towards your legs. The inhale, rise up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands to your heart. Now we're going to add to that again. Inhale, using the Ujjayi breath. Exhale, chair pose. Resist any kind of sort of self-doubt or criticism. Just stay with the process. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, Uttanasana. Press into the blocks to tone your inner belly. Inhale, glide your heart forward. This time, take your right toes back first. Touch your right knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. Exhale, take the arms wide and down. Strengthen your right leg and then use the right leg to steady yourself for plank pose. Now in plank pose, exhale, squeeze your right knee up between your elbows. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, left knee up between your elbows. Inhale, plank pose. Exhale, right knee forward. Inhale, plank. Exhale, left knee forward. Inhale, plank. And then exhale, table pose. Touch the knees down lightly. Inhale to cow pose. Lift your chest and your heart. And then exhale to seal pose. And inhale to go up in seal pose. Exhale, plank pose. And downward facing dog. Now right foot forward, touch your left knee down. Inhale, Anjaneyasana. And exhale to descend. Inhale, step forward, heart forward. And then a deep bow towards the legs. Last one, inhale, rise up. And hands to the heart. You can release your hands and arms, and please bring your chair onto your yoga mat. Okay, so the work that we're going to do, I think you're going to need to have a couple of blankets. I'm not that tall, as you have seen, and my chair is a standard size folding chair, and I use one block and 2 blankets to make this possible, to have this be a suitable exploration. So I'm going to hypothesize that those of you who are taller than I am, you'll actually need the blankets too. So what I'm doing is folding this blanket in half because it'll fit better on the seat of the chair like this. And I'm actually going to use 2 blankets because I did that yesterday. So I had the experiment, and what I saw was that 2 blankets made the most sense for my pelvis. Now part of that, just to be clear, is my height and my particular flexibility, but also that I have one hip that's metal, it's titanium. I have hip replacement. So for some of you, you may not have that consideration, but let's see how this experiment feels for you. So now when I sit on my chair, my feet don't reach the ground. That's one reason to have a block over here for your foot to be standing on. Let's place the right foot on the block and make sure that both hips are on the blanket. Okay, so right now, this angle, we hope your thigh is more or less parallel, not having your knee higher than your hips. So this and this working together. With that established, some of you might already feel like, oh, there's the inner thigh that you're stretching. So go ahead and enjoy that. You could put the other block if you want to use it for your foot. Yeah, press the top of your right thigh down and lift the inner body up. Great. Okay, let's see what happens if you press your right knee open with your right hand, the back of your hand. And then imagine turning the inner belly here, like we did on Monday. We talked about east and west, north and south. Turn the inner belly to your left. Yeah, okay, that's good. So some of you are finding that it's already stretching the inner thigh. You have plenty of information right there. Take a breath in. And exhale. We're going to keep these components when we go to the warrior two. So this is how we do with the chair. And you can put this block aside and take your left leg and step it back to the left, like this, as if you're doing warrior two. You don't want your blankets to be impeding on the upper inner left thigh. So I just scooted myself to the side of my chair. So that right now the blankets are under my right sitting bone and my right thigh and hamstring, but not touching the left inner thigh. So I'm that far to the left on my chair. And press the right knee open and press your right heel down. So when you're pressing that down, you're using the hip muscles. They're not just hanging there like the laundry on the line. Take your right hand to open the right inner thigh. And try turning your inner belly to your left. There's no point at which we're going to imagine that we need this kind of 180 with your pelvis. You do not have barn doors for pelvis bones. But I do want you to sense that as you keep your right hip stable, that the right knee, as it were, is not pulling your left hip towards it. You're able to make a little turn in the inner C of the belly to your left. Keep the right heel grounded, please. Take the arms up. And then turn your right palm up. Let's go to rising warrior, which is a pose we were doing, I think, on Monday. Notice if there's any additional freedom or capacity for you in your right hip joint. And keep the left inner arch lifted, the left inner thigh toned. Press your right heel firmly down. So you're supported by, but not like pancaking onto the blankets there. And when you exhale, level your arms off. Release your arms and release your pose by stepping one foot off the blocks, come to center. Let's do horse pose for a moment, right? Like you're riding a horse. Excuse me. You guys. Now you're having a little bit of kitten danger, so I gotta change that up. All right, let's do the other side for the humans who are doing yoga class. So let's put one block in preparation for the right foot and then the other one for the left foot. Scoot your blankets to the right side of your chair and step your left foot up onto the block, right foot on its block. So you're just kind of getting set. I don't know why, because this never actually happened to me, but this feels like we're about to have a photo shoot. You should do something cool and there'll be family members standing around, but I don't know why that comes to mind. So here, lengthen your left inner thigh into your left knee. Press the back of your left hand against the knee. And see if you can get a little turn of the belly to your right. There you go. And try to sit upright in the center of your pelvis. So then keeping those components active, including your left heel does press down. Let's step the right foot into Warrior Two. Another thing to check for some of you, it's really helpful to look back and see that you've got your right heel lined up with your left heel, right? So it's not like this heel is farther back on your mat and this one is farther forward on the mat. Okay, so press into your left heel, engage your left hip and hamstring. Lift the pubic bone. So we should not have a sense that the blankets nor the chair are pressing on the inner thigh of your right leg. Keep the arms up. Yeah, good. Use the Ujjayi breath. You're going to hear that in the back of the throat. And we'll take it up to Rising Warrior. You can imagine it. I sometimes like to call it aspirational warrior. Like, may the qualities of your heart really shine through. May you have access to those. And when you next exhale, then level the arms off. Gaze out over your left fingertips. Keep the left hip and heel strong so you're not collapsing onto the blankets. You're supported by them, but we're not pancaking onto the blankets. And then release both arms and come back to your horse pose, your cowgirl or cowboy pose, like this. And just see how things are feeling for a moment. Now let's take it back to the first side. So we'll go directly to the warrior pose. You're going to place your right block, place your right foot, scoot your blankets as needed to get your left leg to be clear of the chair. So it's not impinging on the upper inner left thigh. Okay. All right, good. Hips more or less level here. Right, energize your right leg, including your right inner thigh, right outer hip, the underside of the hip, the hamstring, where it meets the sitting bone. Press down into your right heel and sweep your arms wide. Now this time as you press down into your right heel, I'd like you to put a little bit less and less weight on your blankets. And sense your hips responding as your feet take responsibility for your weight, for your grounding, for your strength. Raise your right arm up, left arm down, rising warrior pose. Keep the legs as your primary responsibility, especially your heels and your toes kind of driving the actions. And then level your arms and place your right forearm on your right thigh. Sweep your left arm past your left ear. This is called the side angle pose. So continue pressing into both heels. So you're taking some of the weight off of the blankets. Even though, of course, you're touching the blankets, rest less and less on them. And then as you're going to return to Warrior Two, imagine you're coming back to the inner warrior of the heart, where you live those qualities of heart that are your deepest values. Join your hands at your heart. And then as you go to release the pose, be thoughtful how to come back to your cowboy or cowgirl stance. I moved the curtain off the window because they were jumping on it, which means that now she is seeing birds out there and her jaw is, you know how some cats, it's like their teeth are chattering to get to the bird. that she's having a workout. He's watching her. So let's put the left foot up on the block and scoot your blankets as you need to. So you've got your warrior two supported. Yeah, good. Hips mostly level. Good. All right, let's take the arms wide. Gaze out over your left fingertips. Imagine you're gazing from the qualities of heart that you want to see the world through. Yeah, and the breath is your steady companion. Turn your left hand to the sky. Inhale, rise up with your left arm. Notice any additional grace or ease that come to you as we're approaching the pose in this way. That may be one of the ways that we fill up our reservoir. The reservoir of vitality is by keeping in mind what brings grace or ease to your life, to your relationships, your digestion, your thoughts. Let's bring this to warrior two, passing through there on your way to side angle pose. So press firmly into your right heel. Reach into your right fingertips and keep the tone of the left leg so you aren't pancaking onto the blankets. And then float this back to warrior two, again gazing out at the world from the qualities of heart. Bring your hands to your heart. And return to your horse pose, your cowgirl or cowboy pose. And then we're going to use the chair, blanket, and blocks to set up for a Shavasana pose. So I'm going to turn mine so that you can see. We have this opportunity with the blocks and with the blankets. With the blankets on the chair, I would say let's take it to one blanket where your feet could still pass through the opening at the upper back of the chair. And have your two blocks within reach. Please come down onto your back and place your legs up. So first thing to set up is that you can have your shins and your knees supported on the chair. Now for some of you, what that's going to mean is that you don't have an opening at the back of the chair. So you're going to put your feet up like this, just so long as your feet are touching something. And the knees feel like they've got like the highest point right here. So like a little bit of traction. Then you're going to scoot back until that traction feels like your knees are touching the chair firmly. Take the two blocks, please. Make them like a little triangle between the edges of the blocks. And bring those block edges up against your sacrum. And when you have the edges of the block against the sacrum right there, then I'm going to invite you to release the pelvis and the efforts of the pelvis. And what you'll notice is the sacrum will drop down between the two blocks. The lower back will hammock a little bit towards the floor. Take the arms out to the side, please. You can close your eyes. Start watching the process in the inner body as you rest against the edges of the blocks. Invite the sacrum to get heavier and more relaxed. Imagine the possibility of, if the pelvis were like a basin, the reservoir is being filled right now. As a result of your practice, moving energy and clearing the areas that might have had blockage, now the reservoir is more free to be filled up. And this is really the practice of allowing, not the practice of doing something. You made the efforts. I welcome the release of any unnecessary tension in your pelvis or in your mind. Allow your body to release a little more deeply, just moment to moment. The exertion has already been done, so we go from the exertion to ease. You've given yourself to the actions. Now we come into the stillness. Invite the sacrum to release a few degrees more, for the inner belly to be at ease. Imagine that inside the reservoir of your vital resources being filled, nourished. And keeping the body and your mind both at ease. And with your pelvis on the blocks, you can slide your knees and your feet into badakanasana on the chair. You might find that your feet are inclined to sort of slide apart, and that's okay. The knees can widen out. Invite the pelvis and the belly to be at ease. You may sense the sacrum is billowing back towards the floor a bit more. And then glide your knees in towards your chest, and like you're going to hug the knees to the chest, you can put your hands behind your hamstrings. Maybe using one or both feet on the chair, you can slide the blocks out from under the back of the sacrum now. And then we're going to roll down to one side and use both hands to come up to sit. Let's take a seat that you can enjoy for meditation. I guess I have to go the other way. Now come into your preferred seat for meditation. And hopefully you can have a sense that the pelvis kind of greets you to sit in a place where the reservoir is more full and your heart values are readily available. And please bring your hands together at your heart. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Thank you very much, everyone. Namaste. Thank you for being here and also welcoming this little one. So this is Nakula, which is the name of one of the warriors in the Bhagavad Gita. Oh. So happy to come to yoga class. And the mischievous one today is on this side. Hi, hi, hi. Okay, this is Nandita. And it means smile or joyfulness, a joyful smile. She's fixated on the birds that are outside the window. Yeah. But not going out. No. Okay, I'm going to come up to see you guys closer. You want to go say hi closer and come with me? Mm. How are you feeling after the practice? You want to come up too? You can. The kittens are ragdolls. This is the coloring, and I think somebody said ragdoll with links because of the pattern on the tail, but I wouldn't know that much about it. They're rescues. So when the paperwork said ragdoll, I was like, oh, that's a cute way to talk about. I didn't think it was a breed of cat. I didn't know. I never have rescued a cat with called a ragdoll. Yeah.